Welcome to this live premiere. I'm not sure how long this is gonna be, but I love watching this intro. Every time I load up this game, the music is great. Even when I first started playing this, the hype was there, the excitement. And I hate to say it, it's lost its hype and it's lost its mojo.
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2.
It's just awesome to see this screen. When I first saw this game over the summer, I didn't even expect this game to come out, and they just dropped the trailer. This game has only been out, it hasn't even reached a year yet. Let's turn down our audio so everybody can be able to listen. Let's turn down the music a little bit. I'm gonna turn off the sound effects so it's not making that noise. But the one thing I want to start with is that I was so excited to play this game, and I want to just go straight to the online because there's not many people playing this game anymore. It's a lot of people that have moved on. It's a lot of people that's playing other games. This is a critical month and one of the biggest months for a lot of different games, and I think this is just the start of it. It's just the beginning. And when you get on here, it's not that many people playing this game. It's 3 players just waiting, and there's only one lobby. You come in, I want to go straight here first. These guys are just waiting for people to start playing the game. There's not many people playing this game. There's nothing to look forward to. There's nothing to get excited about. And ever since Iroh came out, there hasn't been anything to really been able to get excited for. So they're getting ready to leave. He's probably going to get ready to back out. Oh, he just rejoined. But I'm not going to play any matches online. I haven't been playing the game online. And I'm not going to sit up here and try to lie. I have not been playing this game as much. All I've been doing is creating character movesets, and I was checking out the New Game Plus. I already explored the contents of the New Game Plus. There's not many people playing this game. And with all the new titles that's out and getting ready to come out in a matter of days, even tomorrow, the next day, and by Friday, everybody's moving on to Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. That's going to be their new fighter in the midst of multiverses they've been playing and grinding season 3 and things like that. It's a lot of other games that's coming out throughout the entire month, week after week after week throughout this month. And that's why I think it's a critical time for the developers or something to be able to get said whether or not we're getting content for this game, because of all the different games that people are going to be playing and getting excited about from October starting this week all the way into beyond, nearly going into December. A lot of people are going to be playing a lot of different games, and it's just going to be less players thinking about this game. And it's sad because I haven't really been playing. I did everything in the campaign. I figured out how to fix the New Game Plus. I had this one originally, but I had to start over from scratch to be able to get the New Game Plus to work. So I don't know if it was necessarily patched. It was just supposed to be able to, you just have to start a new file over. If you have New Game Plus already in existence, you have to start over and complete the story from start to finish to trigger the New Game Plus and get it to work properly. I explored the contents of the New Game Plus. There's nothing else for me to do in the campaign besides character reactions and things that I'm still missing, but I just been mainly focused on the movesets. For character requests, and everybody want to see certain characters get into the game. How on earth are we going to know what's going to happen to this game if nothing is being talked about? There needs to be some kind of communication to really be able to find out what's going on. You think people just going to sit here and just keep on waiting? Don't be scared to come out with a post and say something. Whether it's good or bad news, at least inform the players. The fans deserve to know what's going to happen with your game and if there's something to look forward to in the future. We don't want to be sitting here till December and it's a whole ghost town, which it's been since Iroh came out. Let's back this up. Ever since Iroh came out, he's fun. He's just not an ideal character to wrap up and conclude a season pass. He's not. He was not needed in this game. Nothing against Iroh. He's such a fun character. They really designed him well, and the rest of the other characters that got into the game throughout the DLC for season pass. We're going to talk about DLC later on, but I want to start with the hype with the trailer. I was so excited. This was way before Mr. Krabs and all the other characters that were revealed. and ended up getting leaked. I'm going to talk about those as well. But just when I first saw this trailer and backing this up, this ended up coming out.
Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2.
Look at this banner with all these amazing characters, and seeing the trailer come out and just seeing what they had involved and just what they changed, the amount of effort that went into this game, it's sad. It makes me feel bad for them. I wonder what's going on. Maybe plans got backfired, things changed with the team, which I already heard about. So it maybe that hinders the chances and decreases the chances of unlikely getting characters for next year. Some people just waiting for something. Everybody's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. But I think it's almost too late now, because at this point, just like I finished saying, it's a lot of good games coming out. They're gonna be distracted and they're gonna be engaged with those kind of games and focused on those and learning how to play those games and picking up those titles, because they're going to be more invested and focused on those games. And all the games they've been waiting all year long for it to come out is finally here. This is the month of some of the best titles. The fall season is always packed and stacked with some of the best titles to come out. But when I first saw this trailer, I was so excited to see campaign. We saw the new characters from the community, so that was fan requested from the demands. We're going to start talking about this. I'm just going to keep it on here for a little bit. We saw characters from the community itself that was fan requested. We're going to start moving on to the roster and start talking about the changes. Plankton is one of them. It was so nice to see all this and being able to see the characters. We're getting into the trailer. Just with my initial thoughts, seeing Squidward looking out the window, wishing to be involved, and watching the old fighters, Helga and all the other characters, fight amongst themselves on the battlefield, wanting to be included. That trailer was so well done and put together. It was so hyped. It was so much hype and excitement. I was so excited. I was super happy that they got some of these characters that I wanted to see. Squidward, who should have been in the first game, and I thought Plankton he played just like I wanted him to play in the mech. Because some people thought, oh, Plankton's too small to play. He's too small of a character. He won't have a chance of getting in. But it was a character that they made work. They made it work. And just like I had came up with originally with my moveset before the game was existing, before its existence, I imagined Plankton being in a mech. And I thought he'd be controlling Karen. Karen is actually part of his moveset that helps him out with certain moves, depending on what button input that you use when you start playing the game. We saw Plankton. We saw LT Gray that a lot of people wanted to see, including me. And then Jimmy Neutron. This is all the newest characters that we got to see. And I was most surprised, just to be open, I was so surprised to see them go all the way back in time from the classics to get the Angry Beavers. So that brought me new hope. And I was like, if the Angry Beavers, Daggett, and Norbert got into the game, maybe they'll go as far as going back and adding other new classic shows that I grew up watching from the 90s. Kablam! They could probably get those characters. We might have an actual chance to see some of those old classic shows that people don't really talk about too much and have missed out on. So it was nice to see the Angry Beavers get in. And I know some of y'all Angry Beavers fans out there was super hyped. And then we saw Azula. Princess Azula was up in here. She's so strong. She was giving Aang that work. She was giving him some problems. Nearly killed him, sent him to the shadow realm. You know what I mean? So it was nice to see her get into the game. And then I saw Raphael and Donatello. I said they got all the other turtles, but we didn't get a chance to see them in that trailer. They did not appear in the trailer. We're going to get into it a little bit for more of the TMNT. Then I saw Ember, one of my all-time favorite villains and favorite characters of the Danny Phantom show in the universe, who deserves to get a shot. And she's one of my favorite characters, if not one of my best characters to play in this game. Then I was most surprised about seeing Grandma Gertie. And then I saw Gerald. I was so excited to pick up Gerald. So I wanted to be a Gerald main and really figure out how he would play. So I was excited to see his gameplay in Showcase. And I thought about those old showcases that they would do, for what that they did from the first game. I was excited to see every single character showcase, even Grandma Gertie's, even though Arnold didn't make it into the game, which I think really hurt and surprise the fans that they picked a character like Grandma Gertie. But she's so strong, she knows the martial arts. So I was more interested in seeing how she was played, how the developers would implement her moveset. So we had Ember, we had Grandma Gertie, and new Hey Arnold Rubs, Gerald and Grandma Gertie. Then we saw some of these other characters make their return, and then like that, and then things like that. That's where it stops. This is where the train stops. It's a stopping point, but we didn't see all the other characters. Some other characters were missing. Of course, you're going to see SpongeBob and Rocco and other characters and Lucy Lau. Some of the characters were missing, so it started getting people curious. I think this is where everything that you see on the screen, this is the main thing that went wrong. I think this is where it went wrong the most for its major point, because of the roster, because of the changes. And when you look at this roster, just ask yourself and just admit it, the roster hits different. It did hit me differently because Raphael and Donatello started with the Ninja Turtles. How does this game not have all four of the turtles? The roster itself hits differently. We're not getting into the DLC yet. We're not talking about the DLC yet. The roster itself hits differently because of the choices that was made. The roster choices. We only got one Loud House character. That was shocking because Loud House was such a big hit. And then just with the Turtles themselves, they just basically did a flip-flop. They flip-flopped Leonardo and Mikey's in the first game. Want to go back and play them? You'll never see them in this game because they're gone. We don't know what's going to happen, of course, but it's looking unlikely that we'll see the return of Leonardo and Mikey, Lincoln Loud, and all the other characters that they cut. And just naming all these new reps, let's name all the reps that got into this game, the new characters. We got Squidward, we got Plankton, we got Well, I said LT Gray twice. We got Jimmy Neutron, the Beavers, Dagger and Norbert. It's so nice to see them, the classics. We got Azula, Raphael, Donatello, Ember, Grandma Gertie, and Gerald. Not just not new, he's the original character returning from the first game. Zim, Ginny Waitman, Retard, and then Ren and Stimpy. That's where it stops. So Squidward, Plankton, Jimmy Neutron, LC Gray, Donatello, Raphael, the Angry Beavers, Ember, Grandma Gertie, Gerald, and Azula. Those are 11 characters. Just count them. Just try to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 characters, 11 cuts. So it makes you think those 11 characters were replaced by these newly added 11 characters. Cat Dog's gone, Top, and so many other characters are missing. We have a lot of missing characters, and I think this gave players a sour taste. Players didn't feel convinced to play this game, and when the roster got revealed, when the roster eventually got revealed from the leaks, when we saw gameplay from the roster itself with the characters already being unlocked and playable from the battle mode, unfortunately, people started changing their decision on whether or not they wanted to buy this game. It was the roster itself. I think this was the main problem. And then seeing things like Jimmy Neutron being by himself, I felt bad for those who were part of the Hugh Neutron campaign who did all that work to try to get these characters in the game. Hugh Neutron was a playable character from the first game, which was a successful campaign. He's so much fun to play, but looks, he just not playable. They did the Hugh Neutron fans dirty because he's not a playable character. I thought we'll be able to definitely do the showdown, Jimmy versus Hugh, to settle it down, settle the showdown, and they could team up and team battle with these different modes that they added with the teams and stuff, which I like. Jimmy and Neutron, Jimmy and Hugh versus everyone, and they can throw down on the battlefield. But Hugh Neutron didn't make it as a playable character. Instead, he became an NPC or seller merchant, a merchant who sells the parts and different abilities that you could use in the campaign. So he never ended up becoming a playable character. So you would assume that after you do all that work for a successful campaign, you would think that he would definitely be able to return automatically. You would assume that. you would assume that he would return automatically in the next game, in the next title, or the sequel, per se. But he didn't. He's in, but it's most important to make the character playable, because that's what the purpose of the campaign was. To make him a playable character, not somebody that's just not going to be playable. To have the hands-on gameplay experience is completely different. That's where I think that's another wrong that they did. That was a big mistake. Did all that for what? For him to be in one game? He didn't even make it back into the second game. He wasn't even a playable character in Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3. But he was just a crew member. But you see what I'm saying? It's just things like that. I think that really started making people question this game, and especially seeing what the base roster looked like. It was way before the DLC existed and got leaked. The roster changes really are so different. Lincoln Loud is gone. Sandy is an actual fighter in the show, the toughest critter in Bikini Bottom. How is she not getting into this game? She ceased to exist. She's just an icon from a difficulty icon. When you select the difficulty of how you want to play the campaign, that's all. That's the only time you're gonna see the face of Sandy. So it's just so crazy to see some of those rosters, and I'm not gonna sit up here and try to play. I got used to the roster changes after a while, but I don't know what else is gonna be able to happen in regards to the future of this game, because they're not even saying anything, and I don't think we're probably gonna see none of those characters return. They could do free updates. They could do a paid DLC and change them. See how SpongeBob plays a little bit differently, and then this game has the slime mechanic. There is so many different unique things that they could do for some of these characters that have returned. See how Garfield plays? He has a sugar rush meter. He has a meter for that. Ember has a meter, and then just so many different play styles. Rocco also plays a little bit different too with Spunky's mechanics. And more, being able to control him and tell him and be able to recall him and call him back and forth on the battlefield to go to the way he wants him to go, to give him the cue. So it's just crazy to see all this stuff. I think this was the major issue. But then on top of that, the AI in this game with the CPU, it's been problems. You can face a level 9 CPU and they won't even really be much of a challenge. They needed to update some of this stuff. Some of the AI just acts up, and even some of the AI in the story and so much more, it had so many problems and glitches and things like that. So I think those needed to be adjusted. Not everything got fixed. We still got some problems in this. And just outside the roster, it just seems like for future content, the stages itself, it seems like it was less stages. It doesn't seem like it's that much. I'm not thinking about the stage variations. The stage variations are cool. I think this is the best one. Tournaments and Joyride stage variations it's the best one, but we don't need stage variations, because it's the same stage with just a platform, 3 platforms, 2 platforms, a flat surface for competitive stages so there's nothing in the way, and you can focus on your opponent. That's just flat surfaces, things like that. Stage variations are cool, but I'm just not a fan of them. I'm not really much of a big fan of stage variations, because we could have had new stages. We could have had a lot more stages that's in this. We got more Loud House stages than anything else, but we only got 1 rep. Not everybody got a stage. Not everybody has a stage that represents the character. These are amazing to see. Country and Timeless Star Dial took a little bit longer to get at it, but it's feel like, let's just take a look. I feel like I had more stages in the first game to play on. The stage variations don't count, because it's the same stage. It's just a platform or 2 or 3 that's in the way, that's just going to make it different. But the only big difference, as I mentioned and showed, Tournaments and Joyride is the major difference of a stage that stands out because of how it's designed. But I really think just most of the content that has been taken out, they added a lot of stuff. They changed so much. It's cool to see these new modes. Sports mode is gone, but it's so different now, because the single player, I like these. But with only 2 mini games, I didn't really like that. I was most excited to see how if they're gonna add even more mini games, but they never add anything else. As far as this, Boss Rush didn't get updated because there's no other characters that have been added for villains. There's nothing else in it. It's just the same ones that you fight from the story. The arcade, I liked what they did, but it felt almost similar to the campaign because of some of the things that you can do. But at least it's a little bit better. You can do different teams and run into different characters, handicap matches and stuff to challenge yourself. See? These are just some of the different things that they added. So you could challenge yourself, give yourself only one stop, which I play on, to play the arcade, which is fun, for a bigger challenge, and you get the 1v3s and different handicap matches and stipulations. They made some changes, but these need to be updated some more. But the most updates went into the campaign, which I cannot really complain about. We got new perks and abilities, but people didn't really play the campaign. They were just interested in playing online. I think the campaign didn't interest too many people. They probably played a little bit of it or played it once with one character with their favorite, and then that was it. They probably didn't go all the way through to get the true ending, to find out what other surprises they have in this campaign. The campaign updates have been great, but I just feel like with the campaign itself, you gotta keep starting over and over. That's the purpose of a roguelike, of course. But just when you want to try to get the other characters to meet certain characters, I think that was a problem for me, because you have to keep deleting your file over and over. And in the beginning, sometimes the AI will act up and get stuck, and it will trigger crashes and things like that. But I really think the campaign was just their strong suit for this, and then having crossplay. But I thought originally with these new features that they had would continue to have people to play with online. But as you saw, there's not many people playing this game, and the only people that you'll probably run into are those who are grinding ranks and still trying to become an all-star, or just those all-star players just looking for their next challenger to really be able to fight and just continue and try to play the set and just try to get better and improve. But there's not many people playing this game. But the problem, see how they did all these different things? I liked what they did with this, the power-ups, things like that. We don't have enough stages, and we're going to get into the stages in the mix of the DLC. I think the DLC was something that really started driving players away. Mr. Krabs was perfect. He's a good pick. When you think about the DLC, just name a character or two that you were excited about. The majority of the players out there, they're going to say Mr. Krabs and Zuko. They're not thinking about Rocksteady. They're not thinking about Iroh, because those characters don't even really need to be in the game because they're not ideal. Rocksteady, if he's going to get added into the game as a new TMNT rep, he should have came out with Bebop, because they're always together. They're a duo. It's just so different seeing this. And then you can almost think if there was going to be a season 2, Bebop probably going to be the next character, one of the characters that's in there, which I don't want to see. But the DLC getting leaked, I think it really hurt the game itself because of the DLC choices now. It's such a major issue because for me, I saw the base roster. I said, all right, well, they took out 11 characters, and we're not going to see some of those certain characters like Hugh, Neutron, Powder Toast Man, Toph, and Ablina and stuff like that. People don't talk about her as much, and all the other characters in the mix. All those 11 characters are cut. I'm used to the roster. I want to try learning these new characters and getting to know them and trying to learn how to play them. But then when the base roster was out, then we had the DLC. I think just honestly, I think the roster and the DLC were the biggest things that went wrong. When you think about the DLC, it's just Mr. Krabs and Zuko that come to mind. Zuko does not, and some people didn't understand, let me say it one more time. Zuko doesn't need to be DLC. He should have been base roster. He should have already been in the game already. And if you think about it, Zuko was behind a paywall, and not in just Nickelodeon Car Racers 3, but now in this game, he was behind a paywall for both games. It's like, how can you not think of that character being a main roster? He needs to be in the game right off the bat. He doesn't need to be DLC. They could have got other characters in the midst. Mr. Krabs is definitely one of the best characters I think that's in this DLC for the season wave. If this first wave, if it is the final wave, so be it. But Mr. Krabs is the most important character and the best character at that, because he's an ideal fan requested character that people wanted to see. And then on top of that, Mr. Krabs is actually a background character in the Bun Wrestling Ring. As you can see him in that star, he came out of the background, so he opened the door. He opens the door for characters like Lincoln Loud that got cut. That's a background character in the Loud Castle. Just on that bottom left window, you're gonna see him appear in the background. The stages and the music is great, but just seeing those characters becoming hitting the background, Mr. Krabs was such an important deal, and he created momentum because people wanted to see and play this character, and he deserved to get into the game. But the fact that the other characters weren't really ideal, like these two for example, I can understand. I'll take this, Zuko and Mr. Krabs being DLC, which y'all got next for us. But the other characters, after the leaks came out, people already made their decision of what they wanted to buy and which character they wanted to play. They made their decisions of who they wanted to play right off the bat because of the leaks. So it allowed people to see what the future holds for the game itself, because you already know who's coming out. So you can make your decision right off the bat. Well, do I want to buy the season pass? But guess what? Majority of the people already bought the season pass and purchased the ultimate edition because they had that wishful thinking, just like me, where we thought we could see all new shows get into the game, but we did not see none of that because we got some of the same shows in the game from the DLC. It's SpongeBob, Avatar, and TMNT. All three of these shows are already represented shows that are already in the game. There's not a single rep in this season pass or DLC wave or first wave DLC is from a new show. We needed new shows, and we did not really get them too much from this DLC. We didn't get new shows at all. But just vouching for Mr. Krabs, I think the only character I would vouch for in this DLC, you can disagree if you want, the only character I would vouch for in this DLC is Mr. Krabs, because he's a background character. It just shows his importance, because he opens the door of bringing back those cut characters like Helga, who's also a background character in the aquarium in this game for the city aquarium. You can see her right there next to Phoebe. She could even probably get into the game because she in the background. Odie is in the background for the Food Dream, for the new Garfield stage. It goes on and on and on. It just shows you how valuable Mr. Krabs is. He's the most valuable character in this DLC. So for me, I would have definitely went and thought about other reps. Zuko would have already been in the game. I'm not even saying cut Zuko. He should have been in the game from day one. He shouldn't be behind a paywall. He should have been base roster. I would have went Aang, Azula, and Zuko, and then Toph could have stayed in if there was no cuts, and then Korra. That's enough. Korra already is from her own show, The Legend of Korra. She got her own things going on. She an Avatar too. She an Avatar in her own way. She the new Avatar, but we already got, that's already good enough characters. Zuko, Azula, Aang, and so much more could have been in the game day one, and they could have went different options. These characters are all well done and put together. I like their movesets. I like the movesets. I like the abilities. But Iroh Super is just not that good. It's similar to Zuko. It seems the same. He should have had a different super. Or his ultimate, or final smash, some people still say. He should have had a different skill or skill technique for his ultimate technique or his slime. He should have. But it just sucks that people are just, they're moving on. And just with these ideal choices with the DLC, it really hurt the player base, because the game lost its momentum. It lost its momentum, not even because of the character choices and the things that's going on and things that's not being said. We don't have communication for this game. We definitely need new shows if we definitely get a second season. But look what's on the screen right now. It's the big question of what's going to happen with this game. We don't know. And then the fact that Iroh already came out in August, we went through the whole month of September without knowing anything. Now we in October. We're 7 days into the new month for October with all these amazing games coming out and nothing has been said. And it makes you wonder, is it over? Is it over? It could be over, and maybe they're not going to tell us yet. But we definitely need to find out if it is and if we're going to get more. We don't want to wait until the end of the year to find out. That's not the way to do good. That's not the way to keep a product alive and keep a product going and create sales and create momentum and create interest for your product. When you don't say anything, when you don't communicate, it hurts the fan base. People move on. And it's just, I hate to say this, I'm tired of waiting. Because it's just so many different games coming out. I'm playing this game less and less, and all I'm doing for this game is creating character movesets for the characters that could possibly have a chance to get into the game. That will be cool to see, but we're probably not going to see anybody else get into this game at this rate because nobody's saying nothing. We don't know what's going on. Who wants to wait till December? Don't even say I'm trying to play. You're not going to have the patience to wait till December to find out some news. You want to find out as soon as possible to see if this game is going to get something and has anything coming as far as new characters. Because people are not thinking about the story. They're not thinking about the arcade. They're not thinking about any other mode or new feature. They're playing online at sometimes, but there's a significant amount of people that have stopped playing this game. Even the competitive players out there that were playing and grinding this game, they're not playing as much. You'll run into some of them in the rank and what have you, but there's not the same people playing this game because of what's going on, considering the silence and considering their choices and the things that's going on for this game that needs to be addressed. We gotta find something out. We gotta find out what's going on with this game, and with characters like Timmy that people have been waiting to see, just to want to talk about him for a little bit. I don't know if he's gonna ever be able to be in this game. And when I first saw this game, I thought he would probably finally have a chance of showing up. That's why I was so excited for the DLC. I said, we got 4 characters. It's probably going to be 3 new shows, and then they probably going to wrap up the season pass with Timmy Turner. I thought it was going to be him for the final character. It led to disappointment. It led to being overhyped because people are so excited. We'll probably see Timmy and all these great characters that people have been dying to see for so long, for years. He hasn't had a game in years. He hasn't been in a title for quite some time. So we don't even know if he's going to ever be able to appear. Do we have to wait till the next game? Does he have to? Well, it's just like, it's tough. It's tough to even try to think of what's going to happen. He's probably not going to be able to get into the game for quite some time. They'll probably have to make another game like they did from the PS2 era. Or maybe somehow find a way to bring back Nicktoons Unite for a remake. Or remaster collection like they did with, or remaster like they did with SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. They'll have to come out with something like that for one of the Fairly Odd Parents games. Hazel might even end up getting in before we'll ever see him, which I wouldn't mind. But we gotta get some of these characters that people wanted to see. We did not get the characters that people wanted to see for this title, for this sequel, and we did not see the characters make the appearance for the DLC. We got the same shows already repped in this DLC. So it's just really messed up. I don't know what's gonna happen. When are they gonna come out with this? And I want to just come out with this right now. They've been active on Instagram, posting stories. It has nothing, and no updates has been said or posted in regards to this game. They've been active on Instagram. How come they're not saying anything on Twitter? They post Instagram stories, but where is the communication when it comes to the product? We already play Iroh, and the Iroh hype was over and done with, and I don't want to go there and say it. The Iroh hype died down so quick because not many people was interested in this character. That's why I didn't see people picking him in the matches. He has no interest. They were not interested in these characters. They were only interested in 2 of the 4 characters. That should tell you something. and then the player base going down. It's all bad for this game. I like playing this game. I still like playing it, but I'm playing it less because of other games. Because I'm waiting for something to get said. I'm waiting for something to come out. I'm waiting for excitement. Something to be excited about, something to be hyped for, something to look forward to for this title. We gotta get something said as soon as possible before some of these titles start coming out, because everybody's moving on. Because all I'm doing, just again, all I can do for this game is move sets and then go back into the campaign for character interactions, which are cool, but it's not much to get into because we don't have news. We don't have news. We don't have a future for this game. So we don't know what's going to happen. Chime in. When did you stop playing? When did you start? Do you still play? Which characters did you want to see? We got to get some kind of communication so we get some momentum for this game. It's lost its flame. It's lost its spark. The momentum isn't there anymore because no one's really playing the game and talking about it. Some people saying they playing it and stuff, they playing other games. It's just sitting there. So it's just messed up to see and say this. We gotta get something. It's such a great game. It still has a chance to make a comeback. But I don't even know if they're willing to even try to say something, or at what point can they? But if I'm a dev, I'm about to speak up and say something. It ain't nothing wrong with breaking an NDA. You don't have to break an NDA. You could still be able to communicate and market your game to promote the characters and the DLC pack, the season wave. Check out Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. Check out Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, now available on all platforms. There's nothing like that being said. There's no marketing. What are they scared of? And that's when it's just like, you can't expect a product to flourish and grow when you don't talk about it and you don't market it. It's not going to get far. Let me know what you guys think in the comments for this live premiere. It's just messed up. I want this game to have more before this year is over. We still got 2 more months. It's November, December. Y'all telling me that they probably not gonna say nothing? They gonna keep quiet that whole time? There's no way. You have to come out and say something eventually.